Well, 24 hours after primary elections were held across western New York, we are digging deeper tonight as to why so many people did not vote yesterday.
Yeah, voter turnout was extremely low in virtually every race. And
tonight we have three of our reporters looking into the numbers for you, their impact, and what it's going to take to get more people out to the polls.
Two on your side, Steve Brown, Erica Brecker, and Michael Wooten break it all down for us.
We had the biggest city in western New York, that's Buffalo. You had the biggest party in the city, that's the Democrats, clearly. And then you had the biggest job in city government, mayor. Big, big, big. In the voter turnout, it was small. We had just under 26,000 Democrats turn out and cast a ballot in the mayoral primary on Tuesday. That's not quite a quarter of the party regulars coming out to vote. 4 years ago, turnout was even lower. Only 23,000 Democrats showed up at the polls in this contest, where Mayor Byron Brown bested Bernie Tolbert in the mayoral primary. In 2009, turnout was a bit better. Over 41,000 votes in the contest, where Brown defeated challenger Mickey Kearns in the primary. And in Brown's very first mayoral primary, in which he won in 2005, just 30,000 Democrats cast ballots in that contest. Again, it's the biggest city in our area. It is the biggest party in the city. It is the biggest job on the line. And yet the trend is that smaller and smaller numbers of voters are turning out.
So the takeaway there is that even in the big races, primary voter turnout is low, and that has to have some sort of impact. So Bruce Fisher, who's really winning here?
Who's really winning are the people who are writing the checks. And the folks who are writing the checks want something from government officials. Look, this is not innocent. American democracy really is set up to be an auction among various interests. But if most of the interest groups stay home, they're not getting their take. They're not getting their shot. And that means that public officials probably aren't going to pay attention to them unless what they're doing is visible and unpopular. The fact is that money drives turnout down. You know, parties drive turnout down, but party organizations like that. They like to control who participates. The way to break this up is to make some elections, specifically municipal elections, nonpartisan. But that would scare the insiders.
We talk about this every election year. It seems like a vicious cycle.
It does. It has been going on for decades, but it's particularly acute in Buffalo, New York. I mean, my gosh, we had a school board level turnout this week for the mayor. That's the highest office in the city. Very scary.
Bruce, thank you. Michael?
I'm Michael Wooten, looking into what needs to change in order to increase voter turnout. And look, you can't have this discussion without talking about the calendar. We have our city elections in odd-numbered years when there are no state or federal campaigns, just like in 2017. Why do we do that? Well, it's in the state constitution. Article 13, Section 8 says all elections of city officers shall be held in an odd-numbered year. That's been the case since the late 1800s. And you won't find many state lawmakers pushing proposals to change that, probably because incumbents tend to do pretty well when turnout is low. Supporters of our current system claim if our local elections were held with state and federal campaigns, they would get overshadowed. That's debatable, but think about this. City elections in Los Angeles and Baltimore recently got moved to even years. It saved Baltimore more than $3.5 million. Could that happen here? Don't hold your breath. Again, it's in our state constitution. Pretty tough to change. Back to you.
All right, Michael, thank you. Meanwhile, State Assemblyman Sean Ryan is calling for early voting and other voting reforms to be passed into law. Ryan says the goal is to make voting and registering to vote easier and also to boost that voter turnout. Ryan is pushing for these reforms to be a top priority when the legislature reconvenes in January. He will hold an event tomorrow at noon. That'll be at the Westside Community Services of Vermont Street in Buffalo.